folks. This is No Excuses. My name's Rodney Arbone. I'm here with my very special guest, David P. Stevens. He's going to talk to us how he is just jamming out the world with his fingers. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, man. How you been?
I've been well. Been well. I've been really riding this wave the last couple of years. Things have been going like this, so
Yes.
I'm happy.
Yes,
I'm blessed.
you've got this roller coaster going in just one direction.
Yes.
Isn't it a beautiful thing?
It's a beautiful thing. It took so long to get there, so I'm just glad to
Yeah.
finally
Well,
be
you
on
know
it.
what? Talk about no excuses and the inspiration that you're showing us with your fingers and the way you're jamming out. It's beautiful, man.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
so awesome. So, David, tell us a little bit about us. Where did you grow up, my friend?
Well, I grew up in Philadelphia. I am probably in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and I am my father's a pastor.
Excellent.
So I always tell people, like in interviews, we had to play whatever instrument in the church that didn't show up that day.
That's right.
So, so if the bass player didn't show up, I think I played bass for like 5 years because he just left and never came back.
Okay.
And, drums and keyboard, all that stuff.
So that's great. It's a
Yeah.
perfect way to get yourself well-rounded. So when you work
Right.
with other musicians, you have a feel of what's happening. Huh?
Exactly.
Is that how it works for you?
Yes, and it helped me as far as production too, because I don't have to call on so many people to do things. I can just record all the stuff myself.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
It's kind of cool.
So when you got yourself going into music, when did David say to himself, you know what, I'm going to think this is time to just become a career?
I was about 16, and it's funny. This story is going to have
Please.
a huge close, right? Because I was 16 years old, and I was all heavy into George Benson and everything.
Who couldn't be?
Right, exactly. And I picked up a Norman Brown album, the Just Between Us album.
Uh-huh.
So this is like 1991, I think, something like
Yep.
that. And I was sitting on the floor listening to it, and I mean, when it first came on, I said, man, okay, this is a different approach to guitar.
Yes.
And I listened to the whole thing, and I remember getting up saying, this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life.
That's great.
And people would say, oh, what are you talking about? You're not going to do that. What do you know? And man, so yeah. So it had a big close because tonight I'll be performing with him on
Isn't
stage.
that amazing, huh?
Yes.
That's fantastic. It's such a great story when you talk about things like this because it just helps inspire everybody who's listening.
Yes.
So during this time, you were only 16 years old. Were you playing in the school bands and things like that as well?
No, I was actually playing around 16. I was playing professionally. So
Excellent.
I had a great guitar teacher. His name was Gerald Johnson, and he used to take me everywhere,
Fantastic.
recording sessions, everything. So he introduced me to people, and then I started playing. Playing for when he couldn't do stuff, I was sub.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah. So
How
it
does
was
that
cool.
feel when you're with your mentor like that?
Oh man, it was amazing. It was really amazing. He taught me just everything.
That's
So,
fantastic.
yeah.
When he was teaching you, what was going through your mind? Like, I know, like certain chords. Was there something just clicking with you that's saying, oh, this is something I could just improvise on?
Yeah, I mean, just everything he showed me, and his whole thing was to show me how to fit into different musical situations.
Okay.
So from gospel to jazz to rock, and
That's amazing.
following him around doing this stuff all the time, and so by the time I was able to do it, I could just fit right in. So it's
And
cool.
when you're playing all these different licks, right? All these different types of music,
Yeah.
which one that says, this one's inspiring me right now? Or is it just kind of how you're feeling at that moment?
It's a lot of how I'm feeling at that moment, but I think what grabbed me most was contemporary jazz because it can mix the groove in with all of the jazz elements.
Yes.
So and it brings in gospel, it brings
It
in
sure
brings
does.
in everything. So yeah,
Jazz this is the nucleus in my mind of all American music. As a
definitely.
jazz player myself in high school and played
Cool.
first trumpet, so it's awesome to sit down with you and hear what you got to say and what it's doing for you.
Thank you.
So you're welcome, my friend. So when you're going through this, what inspires you? What makes a click and David says, you know what, I got to start writing off of those couple notes. There's something here.
Wow, it's interesting. My process is a little different. So I'll do an album,
Okay.
and usually I'll say to myself, well, this will be it for a while because I poured so much into myself, and then I'll get an inspiration I'll just be listening to music, and all of a sudden I
Sure.
can't stop, and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm still listening, and the next day the same thing,
Yes.
and so and then eventually after about a month of that, all of a sudden the tunes and the ideas start coming.
Beautiful.
And yeah, and I'll go in the studio and I can't stop, and I'm on my phone recording stuff.
That's great. So all those fragmentations are coming together.
Yes.
You know, it's funny. It's the artist's mind, the creativity. It's like nobody ever sleeps.
Yes.
Everybody I talk to, it's always like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh man.
And you know, it brings me back to one song from Chicago, 25 or 6 to 4. And that's when Peter Cetera wrote that. It was like 4 in the morning. That's why he said he didn't know. He was looking at the clock and he was so bleary-eyed. Yeah. He didn't know if it was 25 or 6 to 4, and that's why he called it that. Yeah. So it's complementary to what you just mentioned. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's so yeah. I mean, I guess if you're going to be a professional musician, you just got to get used to not sleeping. Yeah. I figure I sleep when I'm gone.
Yeah. We'll find our rest somehow, right?
Yeah, some way.
So what's going on with yourself right now, David?
Well, right now I'm actually in the studio producing another album. I just came out with one July 9th of last year. So working on a project with some young producers and some other guys, and doing it's like I'll be singing and doing some different things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be singing, and it's cool 'cause I'm doing it at my recording studio. And,
fantastic.
And so it's not the pressure of having to fork out all this money and stuff like that.
And the pressure of the fact we know it's gone because it's your studio.
Right.
Who's going to tell David no?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I'm working with that and just trying to get inspiration from different producers this time instead of me doing the whole thing by myself.
That's excellent. And how do you get your inspiration from these producers?
A lot of these guys, I choose guys that I know that I have a lot of respect for musically, and even though they're much younger than me, they have a good sensibility as far as jazz goes and stuff. So I try to grab guys that are like that, and they keep me fresh.
In this jazz world that we have, it really just it comes from like everywhere,
right?
Right. And this smooth jazz and your music, I love how it just vibrates, and I feel like I'm in the midst of wind going through trees, and that ruffling of those leaves are just giving me more energy, And of course, it's like watching you play, the way you just move so smoothly, and that sound that's coming out, it fills. It just so fills. It's awesome.
Man, I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So what does David do when music's not keeping him awake?
Oh man, I'm probably one of the busiest people in the world. I have 3 kids.
God bless.
And so thank you. And he's my oldest is 13, so he's going through that 13-year-old thing right now. And he's big like me, so he's a cub. He's like, I call him a cub. He wants to wake up in the morning and attack me. And early on it was funny, but now it's like, oh, that hurts. Go through the day bleeding internally, but
and that energy level.
yeah. But actually he's great, and he plays saxophone.
That's awesome.
My youngest is 7, and he plays basketball.
Fantastic.
And then my daughter is 9, and she's just a brain, and she also dances. So so that keeps me busy. I don't have time to do much else.
I was gonna say, now when you're playing music with your kids, what does that feel like?
Oh man, I can't describe that. I mean, my son, I got a chance to see him solo for the first time last week in his band performance, and it's just so cool because I don't play saxophone, but I can teach him music as a whole, and I can we'll sit down and study Gerald Albright's music because that you can't.
Who wouldn't want to?
Exactly. So and then he'll get so the stuff that he learned the night before when he went to that solo, he actually applied, and it just felt so. I was just like, oh man, this is incredible.
How big was that chest right about
Oh
that?
Man, I was sitting there the whole time.
Good for you. Deserve it though. You're such a wonderful man. So I can only imagine your kids are an extension of yourself and the energy that you bring to all of us.
Thank you. They're great kids.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Now with your travels, how do you stay in touch with them?
Well, most of the time, the gigs and the festivals are on the weekends. So
true.
I'm not the one that will kind of stay all week long and do the. I did in the beginning because I didn't really understand. You can just hop back on the mechanics, right? But now it's like as soon as the gig is over, I'm back because I want to make sure I'm a presence.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. So I'm definitely happy you're here because I know how busy you guys are. I'm looking forward to the whole thing a little bit later. How's the jazz? How's the Berks Jazz Fest for you?
Berks has been wonderful. I've been able to grow with this for the last 6 years. And actually, it's funny. When I was about, I guess, 15 or 16, I used to come to the festival.
Isn't that
I
wonderful?
saw Norman Brown here.
Wow.
I saw Boney James here at the beginning of their careers. So, now to be attending and being one of the artists has been amazing.
It must be. It must be fantastic. It's kind of like you saw yourself one day visualizing it.
Yes.
And it goes back to that theory, when you visualize something, it will come true.
Exactly.
How does that feel for you now?
Man, it feels incredible. It's like I can see the efforts. I can see the fruit of all the prayers, all the tears, all the rejections, the no's, and then the couple of yeses that were like, so I can feel all of that now.
I'm a firm believer when you get a no, that just means you're getting closer to that yes.
Yes.
How does that work for you?
Sometimes that works, and sometimes sometimes I'm like, no, come on, please. I can't believe.
Where's Rodney's phone number?
Yeah, I have a good friend who and my wife who kind of they talk you down off the ledge when you get those big no's. They're like, come on, the yes is coming. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That must be, of course, your wife has got to be such a great inspiration for you as well, and keeping the family together. And like you said, but it's such a team. We interview people and we talk, and we can't forget who part of that network is.
Right.
Is our family.
Definitely. Without my wife, I wouldn't be able to do all this stuff. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we got some new music coming out. We just finished an album a year ago. We got something coming up right now. You're gonna do some singing.
Yeah.
Is this singing come because you were in church?
Well,
Did you get your exercise there?
I actually didn't sing much in church.
You're kidding?
No, it's funny.
Everybody showed up.
Yeah, all the singers were there. So I did some. But what happened? I did a tour in Europe about 3 years ago, and I had always sung one or two songs here and there. But my music director at the time, who's an amazing singer, his name is Devron Patterson. He pulled me aside and said, "While we're on this tour, you need to sing." And he was like, "Trust me when I tell you." He said, because everybody here, they want to hear, they love what you're doing on the jazz, but they want to hear what you're saying as well. So I said, well, okay, we'll try it. So I tried it, and the response was great.
Fantastic.
And he just kept pushing me and kind of vocal coaching me, and so
beautiful.
So I started doing it more.
I can tell as you talk, it's a diaphragm working.
Yeah.
Because your voice is projecting so smooth and clear. There's no breakdown in it at all. So good for you, man. It's just an awesome opportunity that you're going to give us that next level of David P. Stevens.
I'm excited about this. It's different. And some of the music is not smooth jazz, some of it, but it can all fit in the category. It's all just good music.
That's right. That's right. So when you're singing and you're in front of your audience of something new that it's not jazz, what are you saying to yourself? Like, what do you hope your audience is getting from you?
Well, the cool thing is, in my shows, I've always been kind of doing these things. Well, since the last 3 years, I've been doing a lot of singing and a lot of jumping around and stuff like that. So they're used to it at my shows. It's just the audience is, I guess, different for the people who are buying the music.
Yes.
But, when they come to the shows, they get a lot of that. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. This time goes so darn fast.
Yeah.
I know you got a lot going on, and I know you got something to say to your audience. What can you say to your audience to inspire them? Because you've gone through these challenges, and the no's, it can be difficult for some people. Some people will just quit. So how do we get them not to quit? Because you know what? You're the inspiration to everyone.
Cool. So I look at you, or look here.
Yeah, any way you want to look, my friend. That's okay. I'll remember it.
Well, actually, what I would say is, if you look at, I said it earlier about like Norman Brown, Paul Jackson Jr. I listened to those guys through my every time they came to Philadelphia or anywhere close, I was at the concert. I was trying to get backstage all the time. I was that kid, but I set the goal for myself. This is where I want to be. I want to be on these stages. I want to do these, and because of that, I have been able to, achieve those goals. I kept that vision in front of me. I kept working hard at it. I practiced like crazy.
Yes,
I made mistakes, and then I jumped right back on it to try to, fix those mistakes and just really going after the dream. So I just want to let everybody know the dream can come true. It's a lot of hard work, but I'm a living example that,
excellent.
That blessing can come true.
I appreciate that, David. Thank you so much. It just proves that when you live that fearless life, look where you are, man. Thank you so much.
No
and folks, I want to thank David P. Stevens for being with me today on No Excuses. My name is Rodney Arbona, my friend, my man. Thank you so much. This was awesome. I'm looking forward to meeting up with you again.
Yes, sir.
Have a great time, everybody. Thank you.